When you trust yourself, everything changes. It's as if a switch inside you has been flipped on. Your voice gains strength, your gaze radiates confidence, your posture exudes presence. Suddenly, you begin to walk with such clear conviction that the world has no choice but to respond. People notice it. They feel it. Some even think it's magic. But it's not magic. It's self-confidence. And when it awakens, it feels almost illegal. You overcome obstacles, face storms, and conquer what you desire with such clarity that others wonder, how did they do it? Where did they find that strength? Yesterday they seemed so insecure. The truth is, that strength was always within you. It was just asleep, and it is precisely here that Stoic wisdom enters. They trained their minds not to remain trapped in doubt, but to grow. Because confidence is not a gift, not luck, not fate. It is practice, it is decision, it is mental discipline. And that is exactly what you will learn in this video. Simple, powerful Stoic strategies, deep reflections and practical techniques designed to destroy insecurity, rebuild your inner strength, and leave you feeling dangerously confident. So dangerously confident that you will finally believe in yourself, approve of yourself, and know you are worthy of the life you dream of, and capable of claiming it. Before we begin, I only ask two things. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin. 1. Understand the root of your problems. Lack of confidence rarely begins with a grand event. Sometimes it starts small, a criticism that echoes too long, a mistake you couldn't forget, an unfair comparison that left a scar. Little by little, these fragments build into an invisible wall, until you start believing you're incapable. And when that happens, the mind begins to distort the future. You look ahead and see nothing new. You can't spot possibilities. You can't find paths. It feels like everything is already decided, like you'll keep repeating the same errors, reliving the same defeats, carrying the same weight of helplessness. This is the greatest poison of low self-esteem. It doesn't just steal your strength in the present, it also blocks your ability to imagine a different future. But the root of the problem isn't what happened. It's where you place your focus. The more attention you give to what you cannot control, other people's opinions, judgment, rejection, the further you drift from your own power. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "We are disturbed not by events themselves, but by our judgments about them." What truly weakens you isn't the failure itself, it's the story you repeat about it. And there lies the key. Even if no one gives you confidence, you can create it. It doesn't depend on applause or approval. It depends on actions under your control. You can start simply, study more than others, train beyond expectations, dedicate extra hours to what strengthens you. Small decisions made consistently become your first real victory. And that single victory changes everything. Because confidence doesn't arise from a miracle, it arises from concrete proof you give yourself. One result, however small, creates powerful momentum. That momentum generates movement, energy, and a new narrative. And when you sustain this cycle, victory after victory, you become unbreakable. Remember this, you don't need 100 conquests to begin. You only need one, just one, because one victory is enough to light the flame of confidence, and the secret is to protect that fire, to feed it every day. From that spark, the force that transforms your life is born. So write in the comments, "I choose to feed my confidence today." Let that emoji be a symbol of the fire you've decided to nurture from now on. 2. Stop destroying yourself with your own judgments. Self-confidence rests on two essential pillars: feeling competent, feeling worthy. You believe in yourself when you can say, "I know how to do this," and also when you feel, "I've worked hard enough to deserve this." But what destroys these pillars isn't just the error, it's the interpretation you attach to it. Imagine this, you greet someone on the street. They don't respond. In seconds, your mind fires up. What's wrong with me? Am I worthless? The problem wasn't the scene, it was the story you told yourself about it. The same happens in bigger moments, like a work presentation. You freeze, you forget something, you feel it didn't go well. Instead of analyzing clearly, I wasn't prepared enough, this topic doesn't inspire me, or I just wasn't at my best today, you generalize. You conclude, I'm not brave, I'm not capable, I'm not good for this. And when that conclusion repeats over time, it stops being a thought and becomes your identity. It's like assembling a puzzle of your self-worth using only the worst pieces. Every rejection, every criticism, every misjudged moment becomes another piece locked in place. After years of repeating this pattern, the image reflected back at you is distorted, incomplete, built only from flaws. Science confirms this process. Professor Jerome Kagan from Harvard showed that all children are born naturally open and extroverted. It is through painful experiences, rejections, and misinterpretations that insecurity takes root. To protect you, the brain stores those memories and builds an automatic mechanism, fear-based thoughts. It will go wrong. You'll fail. Better not to try. Not because you're incapable, but because your mind learned to associate action with danger. It's like being imprisoned in a cell without bars. Nothing prevents you from leaving except the fear you've learned to obey. The Stoics warned against this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If something external troubles you, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it. And it is in your power to revoke that judgment at any moment." Confidence isn't lost in events. It's lost in the conclusions you draw from them. And this is one of Stoicism's most powerful keys, the power of judgment. It decides whether an experience becomes prison or learning. The same event can be interpreted as a humiliating failure or as a valuable lesson. The difference isn't in what happened, it's in the filter you use to see it. If your mind is a labyrinth where every sign points to failure, you might have the exit right in front of you and still not see it. When you make a mistake and say, "I'm not good at this," that judgment imprisons you. But when you say, "It was hard, but I can improve," that judgment sets you free. Same event, different narrative, and it is precisely here that you must act. Stop accepting the story that diminishes you. Decide to rebuild your confidence based on truth. Mistakes aren't proof of incapacity, they're steps in learning. Competence is earned through practice, worthiness is earned through effort, and both are entirely under your control. So write in the comments, "Today, I choose to strengthen my competence and worthiness," because every time you change your judgment, you reclaim a piece of your power. 3. Reconstruct your beliefs. Sometimes the greatest enemy isn't outside, it's within your own mind. It's that voice that speaks up when you fail, when you're rejected, when you fall short in something important. It whispers, "You're not good enough. You'll never succeed." That voice seems convincing, but it's not reality. It's a distorted reflection, a lie repeated so often it sounds true. Think of it like an oversensitive alarm system. It triggers even when there's no danger. You make one mistake, and the alarm screams, "Don't try again. You're rejected." And the alarm blares, "Never expose yourself again." Its intention is protection, but its effect is imprisonment. Your brain doesn't care about making you happy. It cares about keeping you safe. And when it links pain to an action, it creates a defense mechanism called a limiting belief. A limiting belief is like an invisible chain. You can move, but never too far. And the cruelest part? That chain wasn't forged by the facts. It was created by your interpretation of them. Consider this. Failing a public speaking engagement doesn't mean you're bad at speaking. It means you need better preparation. A relationship ending doesn't mean no one will ever love you. It means this experience taught you what you need to grow in order to love more wisely. Pain isn't in the event, it's in the label you attach. And that is the key. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Our life is what our thoughts make of it." That critical voice that tears you down, it's not reality. It's just a thought, repeated until you believed it. Breaking this cycle is simple, but powerful. First, detect the emotion. Ask, what does this situation awaken in me? Fear of rejection, shame of failure, anger at losing control? Naming the emotion is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see what was controlling you. Second, identify the origin. When did you first feel this way? Perhaps in childhood, when someone humiliated you, or a past failure that left a deep mark. That memory doesn't define who you are today, but if it remains unexamined, it will silently guide your choices. Third, reinterpret. Every mistake can be told in two ways, as condemnation or as growth. If you failed publicly, it doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It means I need to prepare better, or this experience revealed a blind spot I can now fix. Fourth, transmute. Pain carries energy, and that energy can crush you or propel you. Don't use failure as punishment. Transform it into fuel. Tell yourself, this strengthened me, this trained me, this prepared me for the next challenge. Like taking a brick from an old prison and placing it in the foundation of your fortress, like turning a scar into armor. What once embarrassed you now becomes a badge of resilience, and it all comes down to one question. What story will you tell yourself? Your narrative can be a prison or a trampoline. It can break you or forge you. The choice is yours. So write in the comments. Today I opened the door my old beliefs kept closed, because the moment you rewrite your internal story, you unlock the person you were meant to become. 4. Detach from the result. Trust the process. Your greatest enemy isn't failure, it's attachment to the outcome. From early on, we're conditioned to measure our worth by what we achieve, not by what we learn. A bad grade wasn't just I missed some answers, it became I'm not good at math. A rejection wasn't the other person wasn't ready, it became I'm unworthy. This distortion follows us throughout life. You commit to a project, but if you falter, you conclude, I'm not cut out for this. You speak to someone, and if they say no, you think, I'm not valued, I'm not deserving. The pain doesn't come from the event, it comes from the weight you assign to the result. But true confidence isn't built on isolated wins, it's built on consistent repetition. Do you get nervous brushing your teeth? Of course not. Why? Because you've done it thousands of times. It's the daily practice, the repetition, that creates unshakable confidence. The same applies to every area of your life. When you release your obsession with results and focus instead on the discipline of repetition, everything shifts. It's no longer about thinking, I need this to go well to prove my worth. It's about deciding, I will repeat until I am strong, until I am skilled, until I am certain. At that point, control leaves chance and returns to your hands. It's in your study hours, your training repetitions, your difficult conversations, your pages read, your attitudes practiced. And here lies true freedom, acting for the sake of action, serving for the sake of service, creating for the joy of creation, without waiting for applause, grades, or validation. As the Bhagavad Gita says, you have the right to action, but never to the fruits of action. Real confidence is born when you find peace in the process, not in the reward. So think about this. If your success isn't measured by applause, but by the number of steps you take toward what matters, you'll never be enslaved by outcomes. You'll be free to grow, free to act, free to become who you want to be. Start changing this perspective in your mind. Write in the comments, I trust the process, not the result. Because every time you release your grip on the fruit, you gain strength to walk forward, with clarity, with freedom. 5. Change how you see yourself. The way you see yourself determines how far you can go. This is your self-concept. the idea you hold of who you are, shaped by your values, your decisions, and the inner dialogue you repeat every day. And the most dangerous trap is this: if you don't consciously define who you want to be, your environment will define it for you. Think of your self-concept as a sacred contract, one you sign with yourself, an unbreakable agreement that says, "These are the actions I will take every day, because they are part of my identity." It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter what others think. If it's in the contract, you honor it. This commitment is what builds real confidence. When your thoughts, words, and actions align, you can finally say, "I trust myself." Because one of the greatest sources of insecurity isn't failure, it's inconsistency. Feeling one thing, promising another, acting in opposition. That inner gap corrodes self-worth faster than any external criticism. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance, and it's one of the biggest thieves of self-confidence. That's why confidence doesn't come from beautiful affirmations. It comes from concrete actions. You don't wait for motivation to act. You act to awaken motivation. Imagine waking up exhausted, drained, with zero desire. If you wait for inspiration, you stay paralyzed all day. But if you decide to act like the person you want to become, you rise, complete a task, honor the contract with yourself, your inner state shifts. Energy returns, confidence grows, and your mind learns, "I can rely on me." That's the power of self-concept. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You need to prove it to yourself, that you are loyal to who you chose to be. So if this lesson resonated with you, write in the comments, "I honor my contract with myself," because every time you act in alignment with your identity, you strengthen a confidence no one else can destroy. 6. Act to become. Don't wait to be. You don't wait to be courageous before you act to become courageous. You don't wait to be successful to behave like one, you behave like one to become successful. That is the principle that turns dreams into reality. You don't wait to be, you do, and then you become. Most people fall into the opposite illusion. I'll act when I feel confident. I'll show up when I have achieved success. But life doesn't work that way. If you wait to possess something before you live as if you do, you never start. The correct order is reversed. You act, you persist, you position yourself, and then your identity catches up. So every day, ask yourself this essential question: is this action, this thought, this decision aligned with the person I want to become? If yes, you're on the right path. If no, adjust immediately, because every attitude you take is a brick in the construction of your ideal self. The Bible teaches this universal law clearly. Matthew 25:29 says, "For whoever has, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But whoever has nothing, even what they have will be taken away." This isn't just a lesson about material wealth. It's a universal law of motion and inertia. Whoever is already moving finds more momentum. Whoever already practices discipline discovers more opportunities to grow. Whoever starts building attracts more resources to continue. On the other hand, whoever hides, clings to fear, waits for perfect conditions, loses even what little they had. Because inertia consumes everything. It's like a muscle. Use it, and it strengthens. Neglect it, and it atrophies. Life works the same way. The little you do, when repeated, multiplies. The little you abandon, disappears. That's the secret. Don't wait for confidence to act. Act to earn confidence. Don't wait for motivation to begin. Begin to awaken motivation. Action is the seed, and every time you plant it, life responds. For the Stoics, no one is born ready. Direction comes from knowing clearly who you want to become. It's not about imagining a perfect ideal. It's about having a standard of character, courage, discipline, and integrity, a compass that guides every choice and every step. That's why identity doesn't precede action. It emerges from it. You act like the person you want to be, and slowly, steadily, you become that person. because in the end, it's not waiting that transforms you, it's practice. The future you dream of doesn't begin tomorrow. It began the moment you started living like the person you want to be, today. So write in the comments, I act, therefore I become. Because transformation isn't a distant destination, it's the quiet accumulation of choices made in alignment. 7. Build a mindset of discipline. How many times have you promised yourself you'd change, to train, study, stop procrastinating, only to quit days later? That's one of the deepest wounds. Realizing you can't trust your own word. Each time it happens, your mind records, what I promise, I don't fulfill. And when that message repeats, self-trust collapses. Discipline is the path back. Think of it as a bank account of confidence. Every commitment honored is a deposit. Every excuse made is a withdrawal. With a low balance, you doubt, you sabotage, you distrust yourself. With a high balance, you walk firm because you have proof, not just desire. A river doesn't carve through rock because it's strong. It does so because it never stops flowing. Discipline is that constant current. Small actions repeated every day open paths where none seemed possible. It's not spectacle, it's consistency. Not luck, direction. For the Stoics, this was called autonomy, self-mastery. Respect for oneself isn't born from motivational quotes. It's built by doing what is right, especially when it's easier to give up. The confidence you seek isn't the cause of discipline, it's the consequence. When you uphold your commitments, your mind learns, I can count on me. That's why Marcus Aurelius said, men without discipline have neither respect nor love for themselves, because they accept living below their true potential. Imagine a professional with extraordinary talent, someone who could reach incredible heights. But they never maintain the dedication needed. They start a project full of energy and abandon it at the first difficulty. They make grand plans, but trade commitment for easy distractions. And the result? What could have been great becomes just another broken promise. It's like living off withdrawals, never making deposits. Eventually, the account hits zero, and with it, so does your self-respect. And the cruelest part? It's not the world that limits them, it's themselves. Lack of discipline steals not just external achievements. It robs you of inner respect, of the certainty that you could have been more. And so silent self-contempt takes root, not from lack of gifts, but from lack of consistency. Without discipline, you sabotage yourself, you shrink. But every time you keep your word, even quietly, you make a deposit in your confidence bank. Little by little, the balance grows, along with the certainty that you can sustain any goal. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the greatest act of respect for who you've chosen to become. And the more you honor that respect, the less the world can intimidate you, because inside, you're already unbreakable. In the end, it's not confidence that creates discipline. It's discipline that creates confidence. So write in the comments, I honor my word, because that's how I build unshakable confidence. 8. Work on yourself to rise above the ordinary. The most dangerous weakness isn't what you face from the outside, it's what you feed from within, complacency. It doesn't shout, it doesn't scare you, but it steals your strength in silence, day after day, until you wake up realizing you've lived half of what you could have. Mediocrity is stealthy. It disguises itself as routine, comfort, and innocent excuses. You don't realize it's happening until suddenly you're trapped in the same cycle, repeating identical days, convincing yourself it's normal. It's like a still lake. On the surface, calm, but underneath, accumulating mud, losing vitality. The longer you stay stagnant, the harder it is to see beyond the surface. And perhaps you've already felt that weight, the unease of knowing you could be more, yet staying stuck in the same place. Every time you accept living beneath your potential, you reinforce that invisible prison. Think of a bird born in a cage. It never knew a horizon beyond the bars. And when the door finally opens, it hesitates to fly. not because it can't, but because its mind grew accustomed to the limit. That's how many people live, prisoners of small patterns, because they never dared to act with self-belief. The Stoics knew excellence isn't a gift, it's practice. It's not about waiting for the world to push you to change. It's about making the radical decision to stop living on autopilot. So if you feel mediocrity closing in, ask yourself directly, where have I settled? Maybe at work, giving just enough to avoid criticism. Maybe in health, delaying changes you know you need. Maybe in mindset, repeating old thoughts that lead nowhere. The solution isn't waiting for a grand inspiration. It's acting now. Small decisions can break the cycle. 5 minutes of exercise when your mind demands rest. Finishing a task you've postponed for months. Making a decision you've avoided for too long. Mediocrity only survives where complacency lives. And confidence isn't born from comfort. It's born from action. The time to break free from the ordinary isn't tomorrow. It's now. So write in the comments, today I break free from mediocrity, because living in weakness is choosing to stay small, but acting, even in tiny steps, is choosing to leave the cage, cross the still waters, and reclaim the confidence of someone who refuses to settle for less than they're capable of becoming.
9. Accept that no one can define you. Your value isn't determined by likes, shares, or how loudly the world applauds. It's defined by the courage you show when no one is watching, by the decision to speak your truth, even when your voice trembles, by the choice to rest, even when the world demands more, by the quiet act of saying no to protect your peace. You are not less because someone didn't reply. You are not broken because someone judged you. You are not unworthy because you failed. You are whole, right now. Seneca said, "The man who trusts himself does not depend on the opinion of others." Stop outsourcing your self-worth. Stop waiting for the world to say you're enough. Start saying it yourself, every day. Write in the comments, "I am enough, exactly as I am." That's not arrogance, it's liberation. Your worth isn't earned, it's inherent. And when you finally believe it, you stop chasing. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for existing. You simply are. And that is ultimate freedom. 10. Focus on progress, not perfection. Martha Graham, one of the 20th century's most influential choreographers, experienced this painfully in 1931. After months of intense work on a dance series, she felt her creation fell short of her reputation. Despite praise from dancers and friends, she saw only flaws. Her frustration ran so deep, she believed she'd ruined the entire year. "I destroyed my season," she lamented. This suffocating perfectionism is a common fate for talented people. Their high standards, which once drove excellence, can become a prison. They block creativity, halt expression, paralyze action. Winston Churchill said, "Perfectionism is merely another form of paralysis." We get trapped in resistance, which is really fear disguised as diligence, fear of failing, fear of not being good enough, fear of showing vulnerability. But the Stoics understood, perfection isn't the goal, progress is. They didn't advocate flawlessness, they championed relentless improvement. Epictetus taught, "Can you avoid mistakes? No, but you can work to minimize them." This mindset is liberating. It reminds us the goal isn't to be flawless, it's to grow continuously. Perfectionism isn't humility, it's not dedication. It can be narcissism, a fear of finishing, a fear of exposure. But real work only exists when it's shared. Growth demands the courage to accept imperfection, acknowledge limits, and still keep going. To finish, to deliver, to try. As Seneca said, life is like a play, not measured by length, but by quality. So don't wait for your performance to be perfect before stepping on stage. Step on with courage and refine as you go. Accepting that you'll never be perfect is freeing. It means embracing progress over stagnation,
learning over avoidance. It means having the bravery to release your work, to begin, to end. Because ultimately, growth isn't about reaching the ideal, it's about moving steadily toward it. And if you know someone trapped in perfectionism, share this video, because sometimes the kindest thing you can offer is a reminder: done is better than perfect. 11. Choose one word to live by. Seneca said, "No wind is favorable to the ship that doesn't know where it wants to go." This highlights a fundamental truth: direction matters. Without a clear destination, every effort feels scattered, and you drift aimlessly. Starting today, adopt a simple but transformative practice. Choose one word to represent your purpose. Like yogis set an intention before each session, or meditators use a mantra, the Stoics used virtues as guiding principles. Marcus Aurelius sought honesty, humility, directness, and cooperation. Zeno wanted harmony with nature. Epictetus valued self-mastery. These weren't random traits. They were chosen anchors. Your word functions the same way. It's a star to navigate by when storms arrive, a compass when fog rolls in, a quiet reminder when you forget your purpose. Why choose one word? Because picking one word is choosing a direction. It's deciding, this year, I live with courage. This phase, I prioritize integrity. This season, I practice presence. When you select a word, you give your mind a single reference point. Instead of chasing 10 goals at once, you focus on one. Each decision, large or small, filters through that word. Does this align with my word? Will this bring me closer or pull me further? This practice brings clarity, reduces overwhelm, and creates coherence. It transforms scattered efforts into unified movement. So I invite you, choose your word for the months ahead. Write it down. Put it where you'll see it every day. Let it guide you, not by force, but through gentle, persistent alignment. Because reinvention doesn't require a dramatic gesture. It only requires one decision, repeated daily. 12. The obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This phrase holds immense power. It's not about avoiding difficulties, it's about using them. When you face a setback, don't retreat. Ask, what can I learn from this? When you receive criticism, don't shut down. Ask, what part of me needs to grow? When you feel fear, don't run. Ask, how is this preparing me for what's next? Because every obstacle is a teacher. Every crisis is a call to evolve. And the more you embrace this, the stronger you become. You stop seeing problems as enemies and start seeing them as invitations. Invitations to stretch, to deepen, to fortify. The Stoics didn't fear hardship. They studied it, accepted it, and understood it as essential. They knew that no true strength is built in comfort, only in conflict. So the next time something goes wrong, pause. Don't react. Instead say, this is not the end. This is the beginning of my next chapter. Then act, not in desperation, but with the calm of someone who knows they are growing. Because the person who walks through fire and uses it to warm, not burn, is the one who becomes truly dangerous. Dangerous not in violence, but in unshakable confidence. So write in the comments, I am not afraid of the obstacle. I am transformed by it. Because the moment you stop resisting, you start winning, and the world can't stop someone who sees every barrier as a bridge.